All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about Lucky Daye.
Lucky Daye.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he's an R&B artist. He's really talented. Worked with some big names like Beyonce and Ariana Grande.
Right?
And we've got a couple of really cool interviews to dig into. One from Amazon Music, and then one from Sway's Universe.
Nice.
And so these interviews give us some good insight into his journey,
Mm-hmm.
his outlook on music.
Yeah, his journey is fascinating. It's not like a straight line to success at all. It's really been shaped by all these experiences he's had in New Orleans, Atlanta, and LA. And each city seems to have left its mark on his music and how he sees the world.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of his journey, I mean, his childhood in New Orleans,
Yeah.
that really stands out as like a major musical influence for him.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually found his grandmother's record collection after she passed away.
Oh, wow.
And it's like gospel Tupac Funkadelics, Lauryn Hill, all mixed together. So that kind of gives you an idea of not only the diverse music scene in New Orleans, but also his grandmother's like surprisingly varied taste.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it really highlights how he was exposed to all these different genres early on.
Right.
Which probably explains why later on he's always pushing back against being labeled or put in a box.
Yeah.
He even said that in New Orleans, it's more about individuality and doing your own thing musically than it is about fitting into a specific genre.
Yeah, exactly. And that independent spirit of his, it really comes through when he talks about his time in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He moved there after Hurricane Katrina
Right.
forced him to relocate. And he was just a teenager then, too,
Wow.
you know? So he had to learn how to hustle and navigate the music industry
Mm-hmm.
and learn some tough lessons about trust and love and friendship outside of his family structure. He even said that his whole idea of love changed after leaving New Orleans.
That's really interesting. Atlanta seems like it was a pivotal time for him, like a real turning point.
Yeah.
He learned about perception, building his own foundation, and developing his confidence, all while dealing with some pretty serious adversity. And that experience ultimately led him to make this big decision to drive to LA
Yeah.
in 36 hours straight without any sleep,
Wow.
fueled by frustration and ambition.
Talk about driven.
Right, that's intense.
Yeah.
And that drive is what really fueled him in LA, even during some of his most difficult moments.
Oh, for sure. And he had some really rough times in LA.
Oh, he did. He talked about a period where he was basically broke, eating only celery to survive,
Wow.
feeling lost, questioning his purpose.
Yeah.
And he actually had a breakdown on a rooftop yelling at a star,
Yelling at a star.
asking for a sign.
Wow. It's
It's a pretty intense story,
it is.
but it's also incredibly relatable for anyone who's ever felt lost or unsure of their direction.
Yeah, I could see that.
And for Daye, this incredibly difficult time, it actually became a turning point. It led to a moment of clarity, a shift in perspective that really allowed him to embrace his purpose and connect with his audience on a much deeper level.
And that moment on the rooftop
Yeah.
where this star that he was yelling at started twinkling,
Right.
that became like this spiritual awakening for him.
Yeah, it's a powerful image.
It is.
This seemingly insignificant event sparked a major shift within him. It led him to start giving what little he had to others and just focus on finishing his album Painted without any expectations.
Wow.
And then that very album takes off and launches his career.
It's crazy how things work out sometimes.
It is. It's a testament to the power of surrendering to your passion and connecting with your purpose.
He even credits his fans with saving him during that time.
It speaks to the power of vulnerability and connection.
Well, yeah.
Daye's willingness to share his struggles resonated with his fans, and that connection helped him through an incredibly difficult period.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of connection, his thoughts on collaborating with other artists are so interesting.
Oh, tell me about it. He admits that he loves working solo, but he also has this sympathy thing where he feels compelled to help his friends succeed in the music industry.
He sees it as an opportunity to elevate everyone and help each other get paid in such a challenging industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really admirable quality. It shows his deep sense of community and his desire to share his success with others. He actually compared his collaborative process to making gumbo.
I love that.
He takes a little bit of inspiration from each collaborator and blends it all together to create something unique.
That's awesome. And he's mentioned a lot of respect for writers like James Fauntleroy, Stevie Wonder, Teddy Swims, Mickey Echo, Prince Charles.
Yeah, he's definitely surrounded himself with some seriously talented people.
He has. But you know what stands out to me is how he talks about unlearning industry expectations to find his own voice and confidence as an artist.
That's so important.
Particularly as a Black artist.
Yeah.
It took real courage to go against the grain.
It did. And speaking of going against the grain, he even mentioned rejecting all those isms society tries to impose. Yeah.
Ageism, racism, genderism.
All of them.
He doesn't want any part of those limitations.
Wants to live in the present moment and
Exactly.
define himself on his own terms.
Which is so important for any artist, especially when trying to break new ground.
For sure. And he made a great point about how people often ask about age as a means of comparison, not genuine interest.
It's true.
And it just shows how fixated we are on measuring success by external factors rather than appreciating individual journeys.
Absolutely. And for Day, rejecting those comparisons seems crucial to his artistic evolution.
Yeah, I agree with that. His views on love and relationships are a great example of that.
Yeah.
He's observed how the perception of love has changed over time,
Mm-hmm.
but he believes that music is one of the few places where we can still embrace the full spectrum of love.
The light and the dark,
Yeah, the angelic and the demonic, without judgment.
without judgment.
Yeah.
It's a space where those raw emotions can be expressed without fear of censorship or being told what's right or wrong.
Exactly. And I think Daye's music does a beautiful job of capturing that complexity. It does.
He's not afraid to get real about the messy, complicated parts of relationships.
And his fans seem to connect with that honesty on such a deep level.
And it creates such a powerful sense of shared experience.
It really does. His first album was heavily focused on heartbreak.
Right.
And he said expressing that pain authentically helped him feel less alone. It's a testament to music's power to heal and connect.
And then there's his perspective on the algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
He sees it as this metaphor for life experiences. This idea that our choices and interactions shape our personal algorithms, even if we don't realize it.
It's a powerful way to look at it. It forces us to consider how our actions and interactions shape our perspectives and experiences both in the digital world and beyond.
Totally. And he even said that if you click on something you see online, even if you don't like it, it becomes part of your algorithm. You've let it in.
It's true. It's like you're inviting it into your world.
Yeah, it is. It's a powerful reminder to be mindful of the information we consume.
Absolutely. We're constantly bombarded with messages and images, and it's so easy to get swept up in the noise. But being selective about what we allow into our mental space can have a profound impact on our well-being and our outlook on life.
Yeah, it makes you think about what kind of algorithm you're creating for yourself.
It does. His upcoming album is even titled Algorithm.
I know, I'm so curious about that.
Me too. It sounds like he's exploring some really thought-provoking ideas about how we shape our realities.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think one of the most powerful takeaways from these interviews is his definition of arriving. You know, he's achieved so much success, but he doesn't equate that with arrival.
Hmm.
Instead, he focuses on an internal state of being.
Right. Confidence,
Yeah.
humility, the ability to truly listen to others without judgment.
Exactly.
A really mature and insightful perspective, especially for someone so young.
Yeah, it is. And he even told a story about meeting Jay-Z for the first time and receiving some simple yet profound advice. Don't stop.
It's amazing how a few simple words from the right person can have such a profound impact.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to keep pushing forward even when faced with obstacles, and to trust the journey even when the destination seems uncertain.
For sure.
And speaking of the journey, Day has this really optimistic view of the future of R&B. He argues that the genre is not about staying stagnant,
Right.
but recognizing its evolution and influence across various genres.
He's challenging us to think outside the box and recognize how R&B has permeated and shaped so many other genres of music.
Exactly. He believes that R&B is thriving. It's just that people are looking for it in the wrong places.
Hmm.
He even said that he sees himself as the guy sent to the edge of the world to see if it's flat.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. It's like he's
Yeah.
constantly pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo. He's not afraid to take risks and explore new territory.
And he really encourages other artists to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't think R&B should be limited by traditional definitions. It's about evolution, not stagnation.
Right.
And artists should embrace their individuality and experiment with different sounds.
It's a powerful message, especially in an industry that often rewards conformity. He's a true advocate for pushing the genre forward and recognizing its power to adapt and influence other forms of music.
And I think this idea of looking beyond the surface,
Yeah.
this will be key to understanding his music, his journey, and his philosophy. But there's so much more to uncover.
Oh, yeah.
So join us in part 2 as we delve deeper into Lucky Daye's incredible journey.
Sounds good. So welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Lucky Daye.
We've been exploring his journey, his influences, and really his unique perspective on music and life. And one thing that really struck me about these interviews was just his incredible honesty.
Right.
He's so open about his struggles, even admitting that he was homeless while creating Painted, his first album.
That's a powerful statement, and it really challenges that whole idea of overnight success.
Right.
And it highlights the reality that so many artists face these immense challenges on their path to recognition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that honesty extends to his personal life as well. He talked
Hmm.
about his upbringing and how he wasn't allowed to listen to secular music until he was 11 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. It makes you wonder how that restriction might have fueled his obsession later on with exploring all these different genres.
Yeah, it's like he had to make up for lost time.
Right.
He even mentioned feeling like he's always playing catch-up because of it.
Oh, wow.
Struggling to relate to people sometimes because he missed out on so many cultural references.
Right.
But it's a unique perspective that highlights how everyone's journey is shaped by their individual experiences.
It's true. There's no single path to success or fulfillment.
Right.
But, despite those feelings of disconnect, he emphasizes a constant drive to learn and evolve both musically and personally.
Yeah,
And that's what's so inspiring about him.
it is.
He doesn't let those challenges define him. He uses them as fuel for growth.
And this idea of evolution really ties into his thoughts on relationships, too.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about how the whole culture of relationships has shifted, becoming more negative in some ways.
I think he was reflecting on how social media has influenced our perception of love and connection, and how those platforms often amplify the negative aspects.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But what stood out to me was his belief that music is one of the few places where we can still explore the full spectrum of love.
That's so
The
true.
light and the dark, the angelic and the demonic, without judgment.
It's a space where those raw emotions can be expressed without that fear of censorship or, being told what's right or wrong.
And I think Daye's music does such a beautiful job of capturing that complexity.
Oh, for sure.
He's not afraid to get real about the messy, complicated parts of relationships.
Yeah, and his fans seem to connect with that honesty
They do,
on a really deep level.
on such a personal level. Yeah.
It's like his vulnerability makes his listeners feel seen and understood,
Right.
and that creates this really powerful sense of shared experience.
Exactly. Speaking of honesty, let's go back to his take on the algorithm for a sec.
Oh, yeah. He sees it as this metaphor for life experiences.
Right? This idea that our choices and interactions shape our personal algorithms,
Yeah.
even if we don't realize it.
Right. And it's a fascinating concept. It's about recognizing that we're constantly curating our realities through the information we consume, the people we surround ourselves with, even the things that we choose to ignore.
Right.
And that curation process, it has this ripple effect on our experiences and the opportunities that come our way.
Totally. He even said that if you click on something you see online,
Yeah.
even if you don't like it,
Yeah.
it becomes a part of your algorithm.
You've let it in.
You've let it in.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder to be mindful of the information we consume.
It really is. We are bombarded with messages and images constantly.
We are.
And it's so easy to just get swept up in all the noise, but being selective about what we allow into our mental space,
Right.
that can have a profound impact on our well-being and our outlook on life.
It makes you think about what kind of algorithm you're creating for yourself.
It really does. And this whole theme is central to his upcoming album, Algorithm.
I know. I can't wait to hear how that sounds.
Me too. It sounds like he's exploring some really thought-provoking ideas about how we shape our realities.
Yeah, but I think one of the most powerful takeaways from these interviews is his definition of arriving.
Okay.
He's achieved so much success,
Right.
but he doesn't equate that with like arriving. Instead, he focuses on an internal state of being.
Confidence, humility, that ability to truly listen to others without judgment.
Exactly.
That's a mature and insightful perspective.
It is.
Especially for someone so young.
And he even told this great story about meeting Jay-Z for the first time
Oh, yeah.
and receiving some simple yet profound advice. Don't stop.
Sometimes the simplest words have the most impact.
They do.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to just keep pushing forward even when faced with obstacles and to trust the journey, even when the destination seems uncertain.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the journey, Daye has this really optimistic view of the future of R&B.
Oh, yeah.
He argues that the genre is not about staying stagnant, but recognizing its evolution and influence across various genres.
He's challenging us to think outside the box
He's
and recognize how R&B has permeated and shaped so many other genres of music.
Exactly. He believes that R&B is thriving. It's just that people are looking for it in the wrong places.
Yeah.
He even said that he sees himself as the guy sent to the edge of the world to see if it's flat.
Wow, that's a great analogy.
isn't it?
It's like he's constantly pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo. He's not afraid to take risks and explore new territory.
And he really encourages other artists to do the same. He doesn't think R&B should be limited by these traditional definitions.
Right.
It's about evolution, not stagnation. And artists should embrace their individuality and experiment with different sounds.
That's a powerful message, especially in an industry that often rewards conformity.
It is.
He's a true advocate for pushing the genre forward and recognizing its power to adapt and influence other forms of music.
I think that's one of the most important takeaways from this whole deep dive.
What's that?
Lucky Daye is not just a talented musician. He's a
Mhm.
visionary who's redefining what it means to be an R&B artist in the 21st century.
He's challenging us to expand our understanding of the genre
Yeah.
and appreciate its vastness and influence. He's reminding us that music is a living, breathing entity that's constantly evolving.
And his story is a testament to the power of staying true to yourself, embracing your vulnerabilities, and never giving up on your dreams, even when the going gets tough.
Absolutely.
He's shown us that true success isn't about external validation,
Right.
but about finding fulfillment and purpose on your own unique journey.
And he's also reminded us that the algorithm of life is constantly at play, shaping our experiences based on our choices and interactions. It's up to us to be mindful of the forces that are shaping our realities
Yeah.
and make conscious choices that align with our values and aspirations.
But we're not done yet. In part 3, we'll delve even deeper into Lucky Daye's philosophy, exploring his thoughts on authenticity, vulnerability, and the power of connection. Stay tuned. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive on Lucky Daye. We've been exploring his musical journey, his influences, and all of his really insightful perspectives on life and creativity.
Yeah, he's really given us a lot to think about. From his experiences in New Orleans and Atlanta to his evolution as an artist in LA, it's clear that Lucky Daye's journey has been anything but conventional.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And one thing that really stood out to me in these interviews was his complex relationship with social media.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, he admitted he doesn't spend a lot of time on it, but he loves going through people's algorithms.
Really? That's interesting. It kind of suggests that he's more interested in understanding how other people use social media than actively participating himself.
Yeah, I think you're right. He seems really curious about the patterns and trends that emerge from people's online behavior. He even joked about judging people's explore pages,
Oh, wow.
saying it reveals what they're really thinking about.
It definitely speaks to his observational skills and his desire to understand the human condition,
Right.
even in the digital world.
Exactly. But he didn't shy away from the potential downsides of social media either.
True.
He talked about the importance of maintaining boundaries and not letting all the online noise dictate your reality.
He seems to have found a way to engage with social media on his own terms, taking what he needs from it without letting it consume him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that sense of self-awareness, it really carries over into his thoughts on relationships, too.
Okay. How so?
Well, he talked about the importance of having your toes in the dirt.
Toes in the dirt.
Yeah, meaning like a solid foundation,
Oh, okay.
even when things get really chaotic.
That's a great metaphor. It suggests that relationships can withstand turbulence as long as there's a deep connection
Right.
and some shared values underpinning them.
Yeah, for sure. He even said that his song Hurricane, spelled Hericane, is about finding that groundedness in a relationship that's full of ups and downs.
It's about weathering the storms together,
Oh.
knowing you have each other's backs.
Exactly. He also stressed the importance of communication in relationships,
Of course.
especially when it comes to setting boundaries.
Yeah.
He believes in being really honest and direct, even when it's uncomfortable.
He shared that story about asking his friends what they like about him.
Oh, yeah.
Forcing them to articulate their reasons for being in his life.
That's such a bold move.
It is, but it shows his commitment to authenticity and transparency in his relationships.
He's not afraid to have those tough conversations
Not at all.
and hold people accountable for their actions.
It's a sign of maturity
It is.
and a deep respect for himself and the people in his life.
Totally. And he had some interesting advice for dealing with friends who might be holding you back.
What's that?
He suggests repositioning them in your life rather than cutting them off completely.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, it's a more compassionate approach.
Yeah.
He recognizes that people evolve at different paces, and it's not always necessary to end a relationship just because someone isn't on the same path as you.
I see.
He even talked about how his own team has changed over the years as he's evolved and his needs have shifted.
It's natural for those relationships to evolve over time.
Right.
The people who are there for you in the beginning might not be the right fit for where you're headed in the future.
And he acknowledged that letting go of those relationships can be tough,
It can be really hard.
even when it's for the best.
It takes a lot of courage and self-awareness
Yeah.
to recognize when it's time to move on, even if it's painful.
But he also stressed the importance of surrounding yourself with people who support your growth and vision.
Yeah, your team is everything. Having that strong support system is crucial for any artist, especially one who's constantly pushing boundaries and challenging
All
norms.
right. And he even talked about how being on this show years after his first appearance is a reminder that he's made the right decisions
Wow.
and surrounded himself with the right people.
Yeah. It's a beautiful moment of reflection and gratitude.
It is.
He's acknowledging the role that his support system has played in his success.
Exactly. Speaking of gratitude, he also talked about the power of prayer
Okay.
and how it helps him stay grounded.
He seems to have a really deep spiritual connection
He does.
and a belief in a higher power guiding his path.
He actually said that he prays for his struggles and failures to multiply his benefits.
Oh, wow.
It's such a unique perspective. He sees challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation.
That's a good way to look at it.
Right. It's a reminder that we can learn and grow from our mistakes, and that even those difficult experiences can lead to positive outcomes.
Yeah, like that.
And speaking of growth, he was really candid about his own evolution as a man, especially in relationships.
Okay.
He talked about the importance of accountability and self-awareness.
He seems to have a very mature understanding of the dynamics of romantic partnerships
Yeah, he does.
and the work that goes into building a healthy relationship.
He even admitted to being gullible and naive when it comes to love,
Oh, wow.
which he joked might explain why he's single right now.
It's refreshing to hear a man acknowledge his vulnerabilities
Yeah.
and recognize areas where he needs to grow.
Yeah, he's not afraid to be honest about his shortcomings.
Right.
And that makes him even more relatable.
It does. He also talked about the importance of finding a partner who's comfortable with their own imperfections.
He doesn't want someone who's trying to project an image of perfection.
Yeah.
He wants someone who's genuine and authentic.
He believes that true connection comes from embracing our flaws and vulnerabilities.
It's a powerful message that really challenges societal expectations,
Yeah.
encourages us to just be ourselves in relationships.
It is. He also had some really interesting thoughts on the evolution of love in modern times.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, he recognizes that technology and social media have had a profound impact on how we perceive and experience relationships.
I mean, there's no denying that.
Right. He seems to be both fascinated and cautious about those influences, acknowledging both the positive and negative aspects of how technology is shaping our relationships.
He even shared some pretty funny anecdotes about his past relationship.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, including his very direct approach to breaking up with someone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He believes in having that honest conversation about what's not working.
Yeah. Rather than dragging things out or being passive-aggressive.
He's all about clear communication, even when it's difficult.
Which is so important.
It is. It's a mature and responsible way to handle the end of a relationship.
And he emphasized the importance of taking time for yourself after a breakup
Oh, yeah.
to process your emotions and rediscover your own identity.
It's a reminder that self-care is crucial during those times of transition, and that sometimes we need to prioritize our own well-being in order to move forward in a healthy way.
Totally. And he also highlighted the importance of having a strong support system both within and outside of romantic relationships.
Right. Having people you can rely on who will love and support you unconditionally,
Yeah.
that's essential for navigating life's challenges.
And he credits his family and close friends with helping him through tough times
Yeah.
and celebrating his successes.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to go through life alone.
They don't.
Having that tribe of people who have our backs makes all the difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
So after this deep dive, what can we take away from Lucky Daye's story? I think it's clear he's an incredibly talented artist.
Well, yeah.
But he's also the thoughtful, insightful individual who's not afraid to be vulnerable and share his journey.
He's shown us the power of perseverance, authenticity, and self-belief. He's challenged us to embrace our individuality, chase our passions, and never stop learning and evolving.
And I think one of the most important things he's reminded us of is that true success isn't about external validation,
Right.
but about finding fulfillment and purpose on our own unique path. It's
Yeah.
about defining a rival on our own terms.
It's about staying true to yourself, even when the world is trying to put you in a box.
Yeah.
It's about finding your voice, sharing your story, and connecting with others on a deeper level. And honestly, that's what Lucky Daye is all about.
He's such a true original, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Me neither.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Lucky Daye. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we have.